There's a truth that most people never confront, and it costs them everything. The mind breaks before life ever gets the chance to truly test it. Not because the storms are too fierce, but because the foundation was never built to withstand them. People allow emotions to steer them off course. Let the opinions of strangers carve out their identity and hand their future over to fear without ever realizing they made a choice. When pressure finally arrives, and it always does, they collapse. But there have always been those rare individuals throughout history who understood something deeper, something the masses overlook entirely. The most powerful mind is not the most emotional one. It is the most governed one. Your mind is your kingdom. If you do not rule it with intention, someone else will rule it for you, quietly and completely. Becoming mentally unshakable is not something that happens by accident. No one simply wakes up one morning free from the grip of other people's judgments. That kind of inner strength is constructed slowly, deliberately, brick by brick, through discipline, emotional distance, and careful strategy. The world around you will never stop trying to find your breaking point. It will send rejection to test your confidence, betrayal to test your loyalty, and failure to test your resolve. Most will crumble, but there exists another path, one built not on reaction, but on control. The first principle is to own your story before someone else tells it for you. Power lives in perception. The way others see you shapes how they treat you, whether they respect you, whether they hesitate before challenging you. The world is not governed by truth alone. It is governed by appearance, by image, by the impression you choose to leave behind. People do not examine your intentions. They respond to your presentation. They do not study your mind. They react to the energy you carry into a room. In a world obsessed with surface, the person who shapes the surface shapes reality itself. You could be the wisest, most capable person in any room, but if you allow others to define your story, you surrender your position before the contest even begins. Truth, on its own, is often too quiet to defend you. It gets buried beneath noise, assumption, and misinterpretation. The world reacts to what it sees, not to what actually is. People form judgments before you ever open your mouth. They read your posture, your tone, the stillness or restlessness in your eyes. If you carry uncertainty on your face, the world will sense it like blood in water. But if you carry composure, if you project calm authority, people will pause before testing you. To be unshakable, you must become the writer of your own narrative. You must shape how others interpret your silence, your actions, and even your setbacks. Never over-explain yourself. The moment you begin defending your choices to every person who questions them, you have already handed away your authority. Calm silence speaks louder than desperate words ever will. Let them assume. Let them wonder. The less access people have to your inner workings, the more space their imagination fills with your strength. The second principle is to detach from emotion without abandoning it. Emotion is the easiest door through which outside forces enter and take control of you. The moment someone can trigger your rage, summon your grief, or awaken your fear on command, they possess something over you. Those who react emotionally are predictable, and predictable minds are effortlessly manipulated. Detachment is not coldness. It is not indifference. It is strength wearing a quiet face. It is the capacity to observe chaos without absorbing it, to watch the fire without being burned. When you learn to detach, you stop hemorrhaging energy on things that do not deserve your attention. You stop flinching at every insult, every disappointment, every expectation that goes unmet. You begin responding with intention rather than reacting with feeling, and in that shift, something changes in how the world sees you. Uncontrolled emotion is vulnerability wearing the costume of honesty. When you react too quickly, you expose your pressure points. People sense those openings, often without even realizing it, and they use them. That is how influence over another person really works, not through force but through emotional access. Real wisdom lies in choosing when to respond and when to remain completely still. The impulsive react immediately. The disciplined wait until the moment serves them. You can feel pain without being consumed by it. You can recognize betrayal without letting it hollow you out. The truth is simple and powerful. You are not your emotions. You are the one observing them. Every feeling is like a passing storm, loud and disorienting for a time, but temporary. Do not chase the thunder. Stand still and watch it move on. That stillness is where your power lives. The third principle is to expect that people will disappoint you and build accordingly. Betrayal is not a rare exception in human experience. It is a recurring pattern woven into the fabric of how people operate. Loyalty, in most cases, lasts only as long as it serves a purpose. When that purpose shifts, devotion shifts with it. This is not a cynical observation. It is an accurate one, and the faster you accept it, the less power it holds over you. The strategic mind does not build its survival on promises. It builds systems, structures, and positions that remain intact even when people do not. Expecting that people may turn does not make you suspicious or guarded to the point of isolation. It makes you prepared. When you anticipate the possibility of betrayal, you stop being shocked when it happens, and you stop suffering as long in its aftermath. You begin to see it not as a personal attack, but as information. It tells you who prioritizes their own advantage over integrity, who is only present out of convenience, and who will vanish when circumstances change. The most resilient individuals do not tie their stability to any single person. They tie it to their own design, their own preparation, their own clarity. They build gates, not walls. Gates that open only for those who have demonstrated real loyalty through time and difficulty, and even then, with the quiet awareness that anyone can change. That awareness does not make you bitter. It makes you alert. Alert without anger, cautious without coldness, wise without being wounded. The fourth principle is to appear calm while thinking several steps ahead. Composure, in a chaotic world, is one of the most unsettling forms of power a person can project. Most people confuse stillness with weakness, with passivity or indifference. But strategic calmness is something far more formidable. When you remain composed while those around you unravel, you communicate something without a single word. You suggest that nothing they do can reach you, and that mystery becomes a form of dominance. The cold thinker spots the patterns that emotional minds miss entirely. When everything is falling apart, and you are the only one who looks unmoved, people begin to wonder about you. They cannot predict you, and what cannot be predicted cannot be easily controlled. Calmness unsettles the impulsive. It makes the aggressive hesitate. They push expecting a reaction, and when none comes, their own certainty begins to crack. Your stillness becomes a mirror, and in it they see only their own disorder. Patience is not passivity. It is mastery over time itself. The disciplined mind does not rush to speak, to decide, or to act. It pauses, studies, and then moves with precision. You must appear like still water on the surface while remaining razor-sharp beneath it. Reveal nothing of your internal tension. Let no trace of doubt or fear show in your expression. When people cannot read your emotional state, you become unpredictable, and unpredictability keeps others reacting to you rather than directing you. The fifth principle is that silence is not absence. It is concentrated power. The more you speak without purpose, the more you reveal about yourself, and the more you hand others the tools to anticipate and diminish you. When you choose silence deliberately, you preserve mystery. People begin filling the quiet with their own interpretations, their own fears, their own assumptions. And those projections work entirely in your favor. The person who speaks rarely is not ignored. They are studied. Their words carry weight precisely because they are scarce. Most people speak to protect their ego. They explain themselves, justify their decisions, and argue to signal that they matter. But every unnecessary explanation is a small surrender. When you defend your choices to those who were never qualified to judge them, you grant them an authority they were never owed. Silence dismantles that dynamic entirely. It communicates something far more powerful than explanation ever could. It signals that you are not seeking anyone's approval, and you never were. In any negotiation, any confrontation, any moment of tension, silence reshapes the terrain. It forces the impatient to speak first and reveal too much. It causes the arrogant to overreach and lose their footing. The quiet observer collects information while offering none in return. That is not a passive position. That is the most strategically dominant one available. Speak only when your words will achieve something. Use precision, not habit. Over time, when you do speak, your voice carries the weight of someone who chose this moment carefully, and that weight is felt. The sixth principle is that your presence becomes more powerful the less predictable it is. Constant availability reduces your value. When people can reach you at any moment, they begin to take your presence for granted. But when you become selectively present, when you appear rarely and purposefully, something shifts. Your arrivals feel significant. People replay your last words. They analyze what you might have meant. They anticipate when you might return. That anticipation is a form of influence that costs you nothing and requires no performance. Scarcity creates importance. This is true of material things, and it is equally true of human presence. The person who withdraws deliberately, who disappears without explanation and returns without apology, holds a different kind of gravity than the one who is always available, always reachable, always there. Step back when you feel the urge to prove yourself. Create distance that magnifies what you bring. Let people wonder about you. Let your absence echo longer than other people's noise ever could. Solitude is not isolation. It is recalibration. When you remove yourself from constant interaction, you regain the clarity that crowds consume. You begin to see what those still submerged in the noise cannot. The seventh and final principle holds all the others together. Every strategy, every form of power, every external achievement ultimately rests on a single foundation, your relationship with your own mind. If you cannot govern your thoughts, no amount of wealth, influence, or position will hold. The greatest battles are fought and won in private, within the walls of the self, before the world ever sees the result. To rule your mind is to master every arena you step into, because every external challenge begins as an internal response. The strongest version of yourself is not the one who overpowers others. It is the one who remains grounded when everything is designed to shake you. Most people lose before anything begins. They let anxiety dictate direction. They let doubt make decisions. Their thoughts move with no fixed point, carried by circumstance and driven by fear. But awareness breaks that cycle. The moment you begin to observe your thoughts rather than being swept along by them, everything shifts. You are not your fears. You are not your doubts. You are the one who chooses what those things mean and how much room they are given. Discipline your mind the way you would train anything that matters. Pull it back when it drifts toward weakness. Redirect it when it moves toward distraction. Replace fear with logic, impulse with intention, noise with deliberate quiet. Every time you resist the pull toward reaction, you grow stronger. Over time, your thoughts begin to serve you instead of working against you. Insults lose their sting. Failure becomes information. Betrayal becomes clarity. When your mind is internally aligned, the world's attempts to destabilize you simply find no place to grip. This is what it means to be mentally untouchable. Not that you feel nothing, not that you are cold or detached from humanity, but that nothing outside of you has the authority to control what happens inside of you. You become the master of your reactions, the guardian of your focus, and the architect of your own peace. Every challenge sharpens you. Every obstacle becomes one more opportunity to reinforce the foundation. When you govern your mind with the same authority a sovereign governs a kingdom, protecting it from invasion, feeding it with discipline, guarding it with focus, and letting silence be its throne, you stop chasing peace. You become it. And from that place, nothing in the world can touch you again.